I really hate how when it's like overcast or gloomy outside, you kind of have a lack of motivation to get up and do anything. You know what I mean? You want to sit around and binge watch Star Wars for 6 hours and just kind of be lazy in general, and that's kind of how I've been. You guys know I make excuses, but it's 65 today. I found some motivation along with a cup of coffee to do a knife review. Today we're going to do it on, bam! This is the Gerber Strongarm. This is a 2015 new release by Gerber. You guys know me, you know I'm very honest about how I review these knives. I don't embellish or, kind of sway one way or the other. If I pick up a knife and it's awesome, then it's awesome. If I pick it up and I think it sucks, then I'm going to tell you I think it sucks, and that's just how I am. This one is a very highly reviewed knife on YouTube. A lot of people are kind of jumping on the Gerber bandwagon and singing the praises of this thing, and I'm not one to not agree with that, I suppose, but it's a decent knife. If I was to give it a rating, we'll get to that at the end. Anyway, this is it right here. I got the black on black, and at first glance this thing is pretty freaking sweet. I mean, look at that. It's got the skull cracker / glass breaker right there. Very neat looking knife. Definitely a step above the Bear Grylls and like the Prodigy and the LMF2. Those kind of knives. This thing is definitely better than those. I'll give you that. This thing is pretty cool in general. Let's kind of get into the specs on it here. Now, I don't generally go on and check out the specs online. I just kind of post them in the box below. So I'm just going to do my own kind of field review of this, more or less. So it's about a little shy of 4.5, around 4 1/4 for blade length, and about 9.5 inches overall. Pretty neat. This is 420 HC, or high carbon steel, and that's one of the lower grade steels. It's not anything that's super high quality or premium by any means, but it's not a bad steel, especially for the price. You can, definitely do some work with that. Now, the uses for this, and by name, it's kind of a military style fighting knife. I think that was what they designed it to be. You could use this as, a survival or a bushcraft knife, sure. But I think as an overall rule, they were kind of designing it to be a military knife. Now, yeah, if you check out the sheath, that kind of explains it, but we'll get into that in a minute. Now, the ergonomics on this thing, they're okay. They're not bad. A lot of people like it, and I haven't seen anything negative said about this knife at all. And I don't really have that much bad to say about it in general for the price tag. But one of the things that I've found is that whenever I'm playing with this thing, and these are rubber grips here. They have this little like diamond texture to them, except for right there. This is how it comes. Kind of a smooth feel. The one thing I've found about it is that it's really, really thin. And that may look like it has a nice swell in the palm, but I don't know. Honestly, this kind of rut here, or this, whatever this groove is you want to call it, I would kind of have liked to seen that in the opposite. Instead of being indented like that, I would have liked to seen it kind of swell out, and then this right here be the thinner part. That way I could get kind of a better grip on it and really, get a good squeeze on it. Just a little bit, not anything too outlandish or crazy. But as it stands right now, I feel like my hand is constantly readjusting every time I hold it to try to get a better feel for it. And for the design purposes, for them calling it the Strongarm, or the design to be a military style knife, I feel like it's kind of iffy right here. They don't really have a very big guard, and that makes me a little nervous. Yes, it is rubber, and yes, rubber kind of stays grippy in the rain or whatever you want to say, but it makes me a little nervous, because if you were to choke up here on the hilt like that, I feel like if you were stabbing something thoroughly enough, or maybe if you got caught up in doing it, that your hand might slip and you might bite yourself on that blade there. So that right there kind of makes me a little hesitant in general to say the ergonomics are good. But this is my biggest qualm right there, is I feel like it's a little thin for me. Just me personally. It depends on you. If you review knives or check them out, you probably have an idea what you like. That's not really what I like personally. So for that purpose, the handle, little thin. Oh, somebody's having an emergency. Anyway, yeah, little thin in the handle. Overall, good sized knife. I really like it. It's got a very general, use to it. It could be a fighting knife, could be a survival, maybe a bushcraft knife. Who knows? The weight on this thing is pretty well balanced overall. Like I said, I'll put the specs down in the box below, but I don't have the exact stuff right in front of me at the moment. But it's pretty well balanced overall. I mean, you can hold it here in the hilt, and it doesn't generally sway one side or the other. Right there in the middle, it's kind of got the weight, balanced pretty nicely. So yeah, it's not not too heavy overall. So if you were going to carry this on a bag or something like that, I wouldn't say this is a backpacking knife just because it's a little bit heavier than more minimalist, thinner profile knives, which you would probably want to use if you were carrying all that stuff around for backpacking. But it is definitely a nice kind of companion knife, something you want to go out if you're only going to spend half a day out in the woods bushcrafting. That's cool. You could definitely do that. No big deal. Now the material on it, like I said, this is 420 high carbon. This is like a rubbery, probably Santoprene type feel to it, which is not bad. This is probably my favorite part of the knife, honestly, and I really, really, really love this. 10 out of 10 as far as this is concerned for the design. You hear that? That right there is like a hard plastic overmold of the knife, and then it has the rubber like inlay right there. So this is rubber, this right here is hard plastic, and this right here is hard plastic. So when you go to put this into the sheath, great design. It locks in, but it doesn't lock in on the rubber. It locks in here on the hard plastic, which is just freaking fantastic. I love that. This sheath is pretty freaking sweet too, because it has a lot of different carry options. So you can carry it in your belt loop, just like that. Like any other regular knife. Let's put this back in here for the time being. This also has this button, kind of loosens up here, and you can still carry it like that, and you can have it, drop leg. You could have a drop leg carry. Put this around, your lower leg to have a lower carry for military style. This clip right here, comes right out on the bottom. You can pinch this inside here, and it releases this plastic clip. And the plastic clip, made by Gerber, slides in here, and you can have it scout carry or however you want to do it, and you can take this belt loop completely off and put this back in the knife like that, and then this will come right off, and you can just have it behind your back. There's a million different ways to carry this thing. It's pretty cool in that respect. The only thing I have to say about it, as far as in a negative sense, is this clip right here is just a flimsy plastic, and I feel like that really won't hold up long term. So I would have liked to have seen them put some sort of metal, maybe with a little bit thinner here, so that it could bend and flex to be able to withdraw it. But it just feels like this is going to eventually wear out, and you might need a new piece. And I don't know if that's covered under Gerber's warranty. Perhaps it is. Who knows? But overall, I would have liked to see him do that a little bit differently. The sheath is just a plastic. It's not Kydex, but it's really not a bad sheath. It's really well done. The only thing I really would say is that clip. Other than that, it's probably one of the best sheaths. And it has this little thumb ramp for pushing off. And if you're a lefty, you can also slide the knife back in this way. And it has kind of a universal left or right hand carry sheath, and I really like that about it. It's really, really cool. Now, the fun factor in this knife, it's decent. I mean, it's kind of cool that they have this little glass breaker / skull cracker. That's okay, whatever. It's just a fixed blade. Fixed blades are generally not that fun. When I do a fun factor for a knife, it's usually about a folding knife, just because they're a lot of fun to flick open when you're watching TV or whatever else. Ease of owning this thing, I don't know. I mean, it's going to need to be oiled. It does come, you can see right there, it does come with a little bit of oil inside the sheath, so it does, have a little lubrication, but you're probably going to have to maintain this because it is a cheaper quality steel, and that's just kind of how it goes. Overall, these rubber grips, I don't know how well they'll hold up. They feel pretty nice at the moment, but that's not saying much. We could see how that plays out down the road. Like I said, really love this hard plastic right here, because that is a ingenious design. It really is. And honestly, my opinion on it, if this knife, which is the Cold Steel Master Hunter in CPM 3V, and I also love the way the sheath is designed with this one, as you've probably seen in my other video. If you haven't, check it out. Snaps in like that. But as you can see, it does wear down right there a little bit, because these are just rubber handles, and I love the design of the sheath, especially as opposed to like the Benchmade Steep Country Hunter, I think it is. I did a video on it. I don't even remember because I got rid of it. But if you took this knife and they had a baby, this would probably be the perfect survival slash bushcraft slash hunting knife. Just because, I mean, think about it like this. The steel on this is not very good. The design on both sheaths is awesome. I don't really like the handle thickness on this. I do like the handle thickness on this, but I don't like how it rubs a little bit. Not a huge issue, but it is a slight issue because longevity for these knives is important. And this one is probably going to wear down faster than this one, obviously, because this is a hard plastic. So if these two had a baby and this blade shape with this little guard slash plastic hard piece here with some sort of hard plastic finger guard like that, with this steel and the swellness of this kind of material in this handle with the glass breaker pommel, I mean, how do you beat that? You got an awesome knife, and I really don't know how people haven't kind of come to that same conclusion as far as knife makers, but these knives would make the best knife of all time if you kind of merge them together. I mean, the differences are, you can see there, it's got a little bit of a swell, which I love. I love how this knife feels in hand. I love the blade shape. I love the steel. I don't particularly love the handle. I do like how grippy it is, but I don't like how this material is going to wear down a lot faster than this hard plastic. So this is something that a lot of companies should look at if you're going to put this rubber coating on the grip. I love this. So without getting any more into this Master Hunter, I'm going to put that away. The company reputation for Gerber, generally speaking, with their older knives like the Bear Grylls and the Prodigy, the LMF2, I've heard good things about return policies and stuff like that. I haven't personally experienced them just because I refuse to buy a Bear Grylls knife. I think it's the dorkiest thing ever. If it's all you can afford, it's probably because you only shop at Walmart, and you should definitely check out online because it's like $50 or $60 for the Bear Grylls knife, and you can get a lot of different knives for that much. But as far as if you were to break the Bear Grylls knife, I've heard that they are very, very good about repairing or sending you a brand new knife. So that's to Gerber's benefit that they do that. That's awesome. Good for them. But I'd rather have the knife work all the time instead of having to send it back in and break. So either way. Now the cost of this knife, I bought this at $50. So very, very affordable. Also, you got to factor in that it's 420 steel, so it's and everything in this knife, like for instance the clip, the grips, they're decent. It's not a bad knife, it really isn't. But for that price, you could get something a little bit of a higher quality. Look at like the BK, is it the 14? It might be I can't even remember. They have a smaller K-bar, BK, whatever. It's basically the same kind of length and size blade, but it's in 1095 steel. Has a bunch of different things going for it, but it's a very, very nice knife. And this one is not bad for the price, but it's definitely better than their previous knives. I just think I'd probably look a little bit more thoroughly before jumping in on this. Now, as far as cheaper knives are concerned, I kind of like this one a little bit, for being a budget knife. This is the Gerber Big Rock, and as you can see, this thing has definitely gotten some use on it. It's kind of got some watermarks, or I don't know, maybe that's the early stages of rust, but either way, this thing is really, really cool, and I really like this. I've used this knife extensively over the last year, bushcrafting and doing everything else. This is kind of my beater knife, and this knife was like 20 or 25 bucks. So for half the price, you can go out and get one of these and kind of test it out, and I've really never had an issue with this as far as the Gerber reputation is concerned. It's really been a standout knife, and they kind of have the same width. Maybe this one's a little thicker, but they kind of have the same width, and for the price, this isn't bad. Now, I don't know what this steel is per se. I'm going to say they're probably around the same quality steel, just because Gerber uses a lot of that real lower end to mid-grade quality steels. But you can't tell me that for a $25 difference that we're getting just this sheath. That's the only difference. I don't know. If you're really balling on a budget, I would go buy one of these, because this thing has lasted me at least a year of hard use out in the woods, beating on it, wearing on it, really trying to get a good feel for it, and it's wicked sharp. I actually cut myself with this knife probably like 6 months ago, and I don't know if you can see the discoloration right there in my thumb, but yeah, I really sliced myself good because of the wicked edge this thing takes. But 25 bucks, $50 to $60 for this one, depending on where you get it. Still a really cool knife. I would like to see things a little bit different. Maybe they come out with a Gen 2 version of this. But for the time being, this is not going to be my favorite knife. Not a bad knife, especially if you're a beginner. This would probably hold up. Who knows? Gerber's warranty definitely is solid from what I'm hearing. But this one is not bad for $25. Go check it out. Gerber Big Rock and the Gerber Strongarm, both mid-quality knives, but either way, very, very admirable. Alright guys, like, comment, and subscribe. More videos to follow. Later.